Now, step number 5 is to investigate your belief systems. This reality that we have, this 3D construct, remember, we're making this stuff up. We are God having a human experience. But for us to have this human experience, we need to, make up this construct so that we can have that experience. We can experience the hot and the cold, the good and the bad, the happy and the sad, all of those different contrasts that help us to know ourselves. So when you are moving towards a goal and you find yourself sabotaging yourself with specific thoughts of self-doubt, about your self-worth, about your capabilities, anything that's going to stop you from moving forward in a very empowered way is a belief that you have picked up over your life that is not necessarily true. Hello, darlings, and welcome to Not Over, Just Different. I'm Natalie Ledwell, and I'm here to share deeply insightful and vulnerable conversations with you from people who are willing to open up and share what their journey's been like so that you can learn and be inspired to take action in yours. It's never too late to begin again or to see a new perspective. No matter what your dreams or goals are, you'll find inspiration and community here. It's time to rediscover yourself, reignite your passions, and make the next 50 years even more full than the first. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the podcast for this week. I wanted to share with you this week some insights I had from a book that I'm listening to at the moment. I like to listen to my books as I'm exercising or if I'm walking in the morning and I'm out in the sunshine. And the latest book that I've been listening to is called The Great Awakening. Now, it is by Mike Dooley, and Mike is interviewing different channels. So these are people who are channeling a collective like Abraham Hicks, or maybe they are channeling extraterrestrials. So it depends on, what your belief system is around that. But regardless of where the message comes from, I think that the messages that are coming through are really relevant. Now, there was something that really struck me today, which is something that I talk about a lot, but I wanted to expand on this here on the podcast. So one of these interviews is with a gentleman called Daryl Anka, who I've seen speak many times and I've met him multiple times. And he channels a extraterrestrial called Bashar. And he was going through the life's instruction manual. And this comes down to a 5-step formula. So I just want to read this out to you, then I want to expand a little bit on these 5 steps. So step number 1 is to follow your passion. Step number 2 is to act on your passion to the best of your ability. Step number 3 is to have zero insistence on the outcome. Number 4 is to stay in a positive state. And number 5 is to investigate your belief system. I mean, talk about reiterating what it is that I teach a lot, but I want to go a little bit deeper into all of these. So step number 1 is to follow your passion. Now, I believe that for a lot of us women, when we get to this stage of our life, we are really looking at how can we contribute? How can we make a difference? How can we feel fulfilled? And so we start to look for ways that we're able to do that. So when you're looking at following your passion, what I recommend is that you start to investigate all the different options that you have at your disposal. We live in this incredible time with the internet when there is so much information out there and there's so many options on how we can make a difference. And as you know, we launched the Mind Movies Method Coaching Academy earlier this year. We've had hundreds of people, a couple of hundred people go through the program right now that are all getting certified and out there using the Mind Movies technology to be able to coach and to change and transform people's lives. But that coaching is just one of the options that you have out there. So I recommend that you do some research, figure out what it is that you're really good at. Look at, things that you've done in the past. What are you good at? What do you like to do? Ask other people around you to see if, they can tell you what they think that you are really good at, maybe something you don't realize yourself. And then once you focus on that, start to do some investigation on how those particular skills and passions would fit into some kind of vocation that will help you to fulfill your passions. Okay. And when you start to do this research, it's important that anytime you come across something that excites you, that elicits like this elevated emotion from you, then that is your indication that it's something that you want to start to pursue, that you want to start to go a little bit further into, that you want to lean into. Because the way that we feel, the emotions that we feel when we're doing this kind of research, that is the indication that our body is giving us and that our higher self is giving us to indicate that this is a direction that we want to start in. Now, it may not be the direction that you end up in, but it's definitely going to take you to where it is that you will end up. Okay, so when you're trying to find your passion, think about what you're good at, start the research, and anything that elicits an elevated emotion or excitement, then make sure that you pursue that a little bit further. The next one is to act on your passion to the best of your ability. I believe that means is that once we have discovered what that passion is, what that next direction is going to be, it's important that you play full out. It's important that you go, right, I'm going to make a commitment to making sure that I step into this arena. Because I can tell you now that when you're leaning into something that's a little different to what you're used to doing, there is going to be some fear coming up. You're going to be outside of your comfort zone. But what you also want to realize is that the fear, that's part of the process. Everyone feels the fear when we're stepping outside our comfort zone and going into something bigger. But we don't stay there. We continue to keep moving forward. And we realize that the fear is just part of, this stepping into the unknown. Now, if the fear persists, then I do recommend sitting in contemplation and asking yourself the question, is this fear real? Where is it coming from? What is it here to teach me? And when you can ask those particular questions, you can delve a little bit deeper into that. Now, you could ask that question when you're in a meditation, when you're just sitting quietly, having a cup of tea or something, or even if you're out walking. Make some space for you to be in the inquiry. Ask the question, because you'll find that it may not come straight away, but an answer will always come to you to answer those questions. And that answer may come from your intuition, it may come from your higher self, it could come from your guides. But the trick is to stay quiet long enough to be able to hear the answer. And don't expect the answer, like I said, it may not come straight away, but just sit in the expectation that it will show up, and then you'll find that it is. And just stay open to listening for it. Now, step number 3 is to have zero insistence on the outcome. Now, if you've heard some of my teachings before, this step is what I call surrender. This is where, we can be clear about the direction we want to head in. We can even be clear about what we think our life is going to look like, how we want it to be, who we're going to be working with, the lifestyle that we're going to have. We can be clear on all of those things, and we can't be married. We can't have any insistence that it has to be that way. As soon as we do that, we have completely cut ourselves off from the flow of the universe, from the flow of the field. And we have to be in flow for us to be able to create and manifest these things. So yeah, I really strongly believe that we need to have a target to move towards. This is why my movie is so powerful, because not only can we visualize and feel what it's like to be in this future, that feeling and those thoughts are going to attract to us something that could be even better than what we've described in a mind movie or what we've even seen in a visualization.
Is it time for a career change? Find out with our free 30-second quiz. This simple yet potent tool will help you determine if a new career path is right for you. Don't miss out the chance to turn your life around. Go to mindmovies.com/career quiz.
Remember, our visualizations are really like our suggestions to our minds of how we want things to show up, but we cannot be married that it has to look that particular way. Now, sometimes it'll turn out exactly that way. Then other times, the universe will wow and surprise you with what actually shows up. Like, honestly, when I look at my life, I'm like, seriously, this is my life. I pinch myself all the time. I'm like, I could never have imagined this for myself. But the thing is, you have to stay open to that. So we have to stay open to how it's going to happen, what it's going to look like, and when it's going to show up. We have to release any attachment to those 3 things, because when we can do that, then we're opening ourselves up for delight and surprise and spontaneity. And we know that the universe will be able to give something to us that's even better than we could even have imagined for ourselves. Step number 4 was to stay in a positive state. Now, this is what I call your happy place. We want to maintain high frequency emotions. Now, high frequency emotions are things like courage and accomplishment and pride and excitement and joy and happiness and gratitude and all of these emotions that will have us resonating at a high frequency. Now, remember, our frequency that we send out into the field is determined by our thoughts and our emotions. That is the frequency. That's what changes our frequency. So when we are stuck in a moment of debt or pain or loneliness or whatever that is, if we focus on that and maintain those feelings, then all we're going to do is create more of that. We need to step out of those situations and get into a higher place. This is why when you start to do any kind of research into what your passion is and the direction that you want to be heading in your life, you have to be in your happy place first. It's really important that you do that, because otherwise you are going to dismiss things or not even see things and opportunities could be great for you because you're sort of stuck in this low negative vortex. So we want to be in these high frequency emotions. So how do we do that? How do we form a practice that's going to keep us in that high frequency? I mean, obviously your gratitude practice is important. And I highly encourage you to keep a gratitude journal, 3 to 5 new things every day that you write in there. But remember, it's not about going through the motions and just writing 3 to 5 things. It's about sitting, taking a moment, committing those things to paper, and then really feeling gratitude as you're doing that. The whole purpose of that exercise is to feel the gratitude and then to be able to take that feeling, that high frequency emotion with you for as long as you can throughout the day. Setting yourself a alarm on your phone or on your watch where, 1 or 2 times a day, you kind of stop, drop, and be grateful for something in the moment. This helps you to look for things that are grateful. And if you're in a stressful moment, it helps you to stop, get out of that lower frequency stress and really get into a place of gratitude. And it can really help you to do that. Also committing to your gratitude journal really helps you to look for things throughout the day. Now, whatever we focus on expands. So the more you're looking for the good and the more that you're looking for the wins, the more that you see that, the more that it shows up. Okay. Also, anything that makes you feel good. Things for me are things like songs, music that I know is going to get me into a good mood. Going for a walk out in the sunshine, having a little cuddle with Bella, driving in the car. I was with my girlfriend, Christy Whitman, on the weekend. She came into town and we had a girls' weekend and we spent time in the car with the roof down, driving on PCH and just feeling immense gratitude and feeling the sun on our face. Like anything that you can do that's going to help to shift your emotions and get you into that higher frequency. And, the more that we can do that, the more that we're consistently resonating at this higher frequency, not only are we attracting what we need to be able to make our goals and our dreams a reality, but we're starting to attract things we didn't even know we needed because we're just consistently at this high frequency and we're consistently in flow. Now, step number 5 is to investigate your belief systems. This reality that we have, this 3D construct, remember, we're making this stuff up. We are God having a human experience. But for us to have this human experience, we need to, make up this construct so that we can have that experience. We can experience the hot and the cold, the good and the bad, the happy and the sad, all of those different contrasts that help us to know ourselves, right? So when you are moving towards a goal and you find yourself sabotaging yourself with specific thoughts of self-doubt, about your self-worth, about your capabilities, anything that's going to stop you from moving forward in a very empowered way is a belief that you have picked up over your life that is not necessarily true. So I encourage you that as you move towards your goal, as you move towards your passion, this is when these thoughts will become apparent, when they come more obvious, because we're challenging our subconscious mind. We're challenging these old programs and these old beliefs. And so this is when they rise to the surface and go, no, remember, you're not smart enough. You don't come from a family that's ever had money, so why would you ever have money? Like all of these thoughts will come to the surface. And as women in our midlife, we have a lot of different things that will come up for us that are specific to this time of our life. And I'm going to be talking about that in the next podcast. But, we want to challenge these beliefs. So what I like to do is anytime I have these thoughts that come up, I will write them down. Getting them out of your head and getting them onto paper can be very cathartic. Once I see that and I've decided that I'm going to release that thought, I don't want to think that thought anymore, I am now going to replace it with a more empowering thought. So I'm going to decide what that new empowering thought is. So how this works is that these old beliefs are traveling along really strong neural pathways in our brain, because for some of us, we have been thinking these thoughts for 20, 30, 40 years. So we need to create a new neural pathway with a different thought so that it becomes the default that comes through to our conscious mind whenever a situation comes up that is challenging that old belief. So when you decide you're going to release that old belief, it's not like it instantly happens. You will still, that thought and that belief will still come up for you. Now, when that happens, you want to do a little thing that my girlfriend Lisa Thomas taught me. And it goes like this. You go, cancel, cancel, cancel. Only love exists here. Now, the reason you do that, number one, the cancel, cancel is a pattern interrupt. So it's going to stop you in that thought. And it pauses you enough and gives you enough time to remember what your new thought is that you're going to replace it with, because that's what you're going to go into next. Now, the reason that we say only love exists here is because what we don't want to do is go, damn it, I didn't want to think that thought anymore. And you start to beat yourself up. We don't want to go into that low frequency emotion. We want to maintain our high frequency emotion, go, look, only love exists here. It's all good. This is my new thought, and you move forward with that. All right, so I hope today's podcast has helped you a little with that, your life's manual, how to step into this new amazing chapter of your life. Because when we follow a formula like this, we can achieve anything that we want. So have a fantastic day, and I look forward to chatting to you next week. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Not Over, Just Different. If you felt inspired by this episode, please subscribe and drop a comment below to let us know what you loved. My goal is to reignite the spark that you may think you've lost and cultivate a space where no matter what walk of life you are, you can step into the world with power and confidence. I would love to hear your reviews. It helps us to reach more incredible women like you. So until next time, keep growing, keep striving, and keep believing in the power of your potential. Here's to living your best life now.